Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And this video is going to be an offseason outlook of my favorite team, the Houston Texans. Obviously, they are a team that's talked about a lot around the league. Lately, not for very good reasons, so we'll talk about what my Texans can hopefully do to somehow get back on the right track with their management, with their roster, with a potential trade, with their minimal draft capital, just what the path forward is for this dysfunctional organization. So, who'd like to start us off about our Texans discussion today?
Where do we start?
That's true.
That's really the first question is where do we start? And I guess we'll start with the quarterback position because the story of the offseason so far has been Deshaun Watson demanding the trade and the Texans just refusing to do so. And it's been very strange to watch. You start to question at this point why Watson has not been traded or why the Texans have not even been thinking about trading him yet. It's a very strange situation for a dysfunctional organization to be dealing with right now. They need to get it sorted out. Watson's not going to stay there. It's highly doubtful he'll ever put on a Texans jersey again, even if they do decide to keep Watson until the regular season. So let's start there. What do you guys think they do with Watson? Or what should they do with Watson?
Well, I think in a perfect world, obviously you want to keep him, but I think it's gotten to a point where, okay, you resisted a little bit, you tried, you had him meet with the new head coach and David Culley. That didn't change anything. He remained adamant on his position. And at this point, it's just, you want to, trade him while you have the leverage, while, you actually can get this boatload of draft capital that you actually deserve for trading him. Because if you wait and then it gets to a point where it's August and teams are going to know you're just going to be desperate to get something for him. So a trade around training camp would probably generate less than a trade in the next few weeks. I love Deshaun Watson. He's awesome. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in this league. It's nothing against him. I loved having him on my team, and I'd welcome him back if he changed his mind, of course. But it just doesn't seem realistic or really beneficiary to anyone because Watson, this is a top 5 talent, as I said, who's not, getting to play, although at the end of the day, it is his choice, but still not in a happy situation. The organization's getting nothing out of it. Sure, they could, fine him and get some of the salary back, but still, they're not going to be able to get more young players and more draft picks. So I think that it should happen pretty soon, but will it? I mean, you never really know with the Texans, so I really can't say.
Jordan?
I mean, you guys covered a lot of it. The three of us have talked about this a lot just over the past many weeks because this has been the main thing of the offseason. We saw other trades as well that just kind of popped in, but still, I think the number one headline throughout has been what is going on with this Deshaun Watson situation. Is he going to stay? The answer is probably no, as they said. And where he's going to go, that's probably not something for this video, in fact. I think we probably made a video about it before. But anyways, so, yeah, with the Texans, it's a tough situation. I agree 100% with Ryan. You got to just try to go now. I know you want to keep him. Why would you not want to keep him? But if he does not want to stay, you can't force him to stay. And if he gets more mad and the team gets more, what's the word? They get stubborn, then other teams are going to be willing to give up less. Let's say Deshaun Watson was traded a few weeks ago to the Dolphins, who have a lot of capital in the draft. Ryan, as a Texans fan, you want those draft picks, right?
Absolutely.
So I think a few weeks ago, a team like the Dolphins would be willing to give up those picks if they're willing to trade Tua away or whatever the trade would be. They'd be willing to give up those picks. But now, seeing that the Texans are just continuing to be stubborn with it, they'd be a bit more hesitant to deal with such a weird organization, of course, like the Texans are. It just gives them a bad rep, and then people think, okay, I can just pick on this team, and then they just start throwing in less and less trades to this team.
We all think that Watson they should be trying to trade him at this point.
Or at least listening to offers.
Yes.
I think regardless of who the player is, you should listen to every offer. Just hear them out, and then if it's a horrible offer, no, that's all it has to be. I think, but especially when the clock is ticking like it is for the Texans as we get closer to the draft now in less than 2 months, I really think they should at the very least start being more open-minded with this whole thing.
Okay, there's plenty of other problems to talk about, and where to go next, I'm really not sure. I think we could talk about something good and say that the wide receivers, I think, Ryan, you would agree with this, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
They lost Kenny Stills during the season last year, correct?
They released him.
Yes.
They released him, and then it seems like Will Fuller will be gone. I can't imagine him coming back.
I don't think we're going to tag him, so I would say probably yes, but nothing.
But they have receivers that they could definitely use a replacement, but they have other receivers that could fill that spot.
Debatable.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have in my segment that I already have a receiver going to them. but they would be fine with that one. Just comparing to other positions. But then the offensive line has still been an issue. It's been better.
It has been.
But that's another spot where you guys could take over with.
I mean, I think the interior of the offensive line is really an issue for the Texans, and that's something they have to try and address in free agency and or the draft when they can. Because honestly, on the outside, Laramie Tunsil, I know that trade's kind of looking bad because the Texans would have had the number 3 pick this year if it wasn't for that trade. But honestly, yeah, they gave up a lot, but Laramie Tunsil really started the turnaround for that Texans O-line. Other than his little false start problems, he's a great player, and he's definitely allowed that offense to open up more and helps Deshaun Watson a lot. And Titus Howard has actually turned out good. He battled some injuries, but I actually have been pleasantly surprised with Titus Howard because I was a bit skeptical when we picked him in the first round in 2019. So I think the receivers, there's still some promise there even if Fuller leaves, and interior of the offensive line is probably the biggest issue on offense for me right now, other than the Deshaun Watson drama.
And just another note, staying with the offense, David Johnson signed to a longer contract. Am I correct?
I think we just restructured.
You
his
restructured it,
contract.
okay, but it is longer, right?
I just remember hearing restructured. I'll look that up. I mean, I thought it was just a restructured contract to make it cheaper, but I'll fact check that. So keep going.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say about David Johnson. He's kind of the main guy in that backfield. The other running back, they ended up, did they release him? Duke Johnson?
Yes.
They released Duke Johnson. So he is gone. But the other Johnson, David Johnson, is still there. And it looks like it's going to be his backfield unless they get Christian McCaffrey or something in some trade with the Panthers if they want to do something like that. I don't know, just a thought, but I think it's going to be David Johnson. And he had an up and down year last year. There were some games where you're like, okay, he looks like the David Johnson of the Cardinals. When I had him on my fantasy team, I think I won that year when he was playing really good with the Cardinals. That was like his, I don't know, second year maybe. I don't know. Anyways, but there was also some times where he wasn't playing very good. So David Johnson is someone you want to see more production out of, especially because he came out of such a crazy trade like the DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Yeah, and just to fact check real quick, it says he would have been owed nearly $9 million for 2021, just of which $2.1 million was guaranteed. But the restructure is now can be worth up to $6 million in 2021, but now $4.25 million fully guaranteed. So actually more guaranteed money, but less incentives. And all it says on here is 2021, so I don't think it was an extension. So yeah, I mean, interesting there. I mean, I agree with what you said about how David Johnson had up and down, kind of stretches. But I mean, watching him, I'm not giving up on him. I'm glad that they did this and didn't cut him or trade him because, I mean, I think that if you improve the offensive line, use him in the pass game more like he was used in Arizona. Sometimes he literally lined up as a receiver when he was with the Cardinals. I noticed that when I watched some of his highlights after the trade. So, yeah, I mean, I'm, ready to, ride it into this season with David Johnson in the backfield. I still think we should, fully see what he has to offer because you did, as Jordan mentioned, get him in a crazy trade. So if you could at least get something out of that, that'd be ideal.
And so let's turn to the defense now, and let's just start with the bad with this defense. First of all, there's a lot of decent players you might know, but they were not really that good of a defense last year. And it starts with the running game defense, which is the linebackers and the linemen, really. And they have a decent linebacker in Cunningham. Ryan knows better than most people. He was one of the most underrated guys. Ryan knows, like I said, he can attest to that in just a second. The other guys like Merciless, Charles Omenihu, Ross Blacklock, some younger guys who might do better in the future, but their run game defense was really just atrocious last year. You saw it immediately in Game 1 on Thursday night against the Chiefs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, my guy, went off on them. And many teams after that continued to pick on this really tough defense against the run, so they really need to work on improving that. And then the cornerback position, the whole secondary, could use a bit of help as well, but let's just stick with the run defense right now because, Ryan, I know that's something that your team was very bad at last year.
Yeah, I mean, we were bad at it, and I think it just, gets down to improving up front. I mean, now with, J.J. Watt not being there anymore, these young guys like Charles Omenihu and Carlos Watkins and Ross Blacklock. And another thing about these young guys, the rookies last year for the Texans did not get a lot of playing time. So I honestly, even as a fan, can't really give them a fair evaluation yet. You'd say, oh, was this a good pick in 2020? Was this a good pick? I really can't tell you that yet because they just didn't really, play for whatever reason that the coaches decided. Maybe they wanted to play more of the veterans, but you would think you'd see their record 4-12. The young guys probably played a lot. It was a very, low rookie season for the Texans in the sense that rookies just didn't play a lot. I think I saw somewhere that they had the lowest amount of snaps taken or played by rookies of anyone in the league. So that says a lot. But yeah, like Jordan said, run defense not good. That has to get better. sign, an edge rusher, sign, get, heavier up front on defense. I mean, it's really not much more complicated, but a lot of it might just be the young guys continuing to learn about the game and grow, kind of a trial and error type of thing with an organization that's likely headed for a rebuild. And real quick, I do just want to add, I like our linebackers. I really do. Bedardrick McKinney was hurt for most of the year. Zach Cunningham, leading tackler in the NFL. Tyrell Adams is another guy who had a breakout year. I really like him. He is another guy that is a fierce tackler everywhere on the field. Really liked seeing him like I said, break out this year. He's a fun player to watch. And also, so is Jacob Martin. He's effective on the blitz. So I really like our linebacking core. Whitney Merciless did have a little bit of a down year, so we'll see what happens there. But overall, I do actually like our linebacking core, and I think they're better than some people realize.
And one more thing I wanted to mention. We talk about the young guys. The guy who's not mentioned as a starter right now in this depth chart, I'm looking at ESPN. We both are, actually. But it's Jonathan Greenard. I really liked him coming out of Florida last year. So maybe he could step into Whitney Merciless's role if he kind of deteriorates a bit, because I did like Jonathan Greenard, and I think he could do some good things, but only time will tell. Let's move to the secondary now. Ryan, you take over.
Justin Reed is the guy I really like. I think he's continued to get better. Bradley Roby, I think he's had his good moments. Not, the best number one corner, and then there was the whole suspension thing, but I think we should stick with him. Lonnie Johnson, we drafted as a corner but moved to safety. And the other cornerback slot outside of Roby, I think that we really need to improve, because there was just too much inconsistency, bad tackling, blown coverage, just simple things that have to be fixed. So I think they got to get someone better opposite Bradley Roby to just, stop, blowing late leads, because that's what really happened for the Texans. They couldn't, Deshaun Watson would generate these crazy 300, 400-yard passing games, but the defense just couldn't get that stop at the end. And a lot of it was because of, the back end. Normally throughout the game we say it's the run defense that's bad, but when it gets down to the wire and teams are trying to come back against them, which they often did, the pass defense just couldn't stop the vertical threats. We saw it in really both their games against the Titans. So I think that, finding another corner opposite Bradley Roby, normally this year it would have been Gareon Conley, but he was hurt all year, and now he's set to be a free agent, so that is something that has to be addressed. So yeah, some holes in the secondary, but there are guys like Justin Reed, who's had a great start to his career. He looks like a steal right now from a third-round pick. So there's hope, but really got to fix that spot opposite Roby for the corners.
And speaking of Reeds and draft picks, you do have John Reed on your team as well out of Penn State. Just want to mention that because he is, not this guy specifically, but he has the same name as one of our middle school teachers.
Yeah.
Just
he's another
very
guy,
important mention.
Yeah, he's another guy that didn't really play that much either.
He's listed as fourth on the depth chart.
Yeah.
I would expect to see some younger guys getting a lot more playing time on this Texans team next year as they start to grow older. But yes, I would agree with what you guys said about the defense. There need to be things that are improved, but what I'll get to in just a moment is I don't know if they're going to have the chance to do it, because are they going to be a high-rated free agent team for players to go to? If you're a free agent, why are you wanting to go to the Houston Texans? It looks like they're going to be a dumpster fire in this next year. If I'm a free agent, I'll sign for less money to go to the Colts or even like not the Eagles. I was about to go there.
They're only a little better than us.
Yeah, but other teams that maybe are better, just to sign for less, just to avoid that. So that's going to be something that is difficult to talk about. Do you guys have any last mentions? Jordan, you usually talk about the special teams. Do you have any last mentions before I get into the segment? Tyler's tips.
Kaimi Fairbairn, place kicker. Brian Anger is a punter. He's also the holder. Kiki Cutie, punt returner. Kick returner. Dontrell Hillard, long snapper. Got him credit. John Weeks. Kaimi Fairbairn, not bad. Brian Anger, not bad. Brian Inger's been along for a while, right?
Yeah, he was with the Jaguars for a while. I think he was with the Bucks too. Yeah, he's been a good punter for a while around the league.
Yes, that's it. Nothing too special.
Okay, so we did have some technical difficulties, so the video stopped, and now we're restarting. But we're gonna get back into my tips for the Texans now. We already ran through this once, but the camera stopped, so we're gonna do it again. Let's start from the top, and it's gonna be a domino effect here with the Texans. Because one thing has got to happen for the rest of these dominoes to fall, and the domino that I'm talking about is the Texans getting rid of Deshaun Watson as soon as possible to get the highest trade value they could out of him. And I think that's at least 3 first-rounders, a second-round pick, and a pretty good player. Who that player would be, I don't know. It would depend on what team and everything else. So if they were to get Watson or get rid of Watson, then they go to the draft. with their quarterback. Hopefully they would try and get an early round pick so they could replace Watson with a rookie quarterback. That could be Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, depending on where the Texans fall in the draft if they were to have that first round pick. Then you look at the running back position, still staying with the offense here. And you think David Johnson, I know they kept him, but he's not good enough, I don't think, just to be the sole back of the Texans. So if they had another pick, they could get Travis Etienne or Javonte Williams maybe in the second round of the draft, if they were to get that second rounder that I talked about. Or they could sign a guy like Marlon Mack. He could stay in the division. Doesn't seem like he's going to stay with the Colts because of the fact that the Colts have their new running back in Jonathan Taylor. And then last thing on the offensive side, I believe, actually two more things on the offensive side, but we'll get to the other one later. Replace Will Fuller. We talked about it early on in the video. They got to find someone that can replace Will Fuller. Maybe that's Kadarius Toney if he falls to the second. I think Jalen Waddle will be in the first round, but if they were to get a trade from the Dolphins, maybe they could get 2 first-round picks and then go and get both of those guys, which that would be fun. But more likely would be a later round wide receiver pick like a Terrace Marshall or a Tylan Wallace. I just tried to find guys that compared to Will Fuller's style of play, and those were some of them that I thought of as I was thinking about what the Texans should do during their offseason. And then, now moving on to the defense, I think it's important that they go out and get some lower profile free agents, because I mentioned before I got into this segment that not a lot of free agents were going to want to go there. If you're a free agent, why are you going to want to go to the Texans? So they're going to have to get these lower profile guys that are just waiting to go to a team later on in the free agency process, and then the Texans just snag them and say, hey, no one else wants you can come here. Maybe Quinton Dunbar, K'Wan Short. I'm not trying to say they're bad at anything, but those are just ones that were lower on the free agency lists. So those are just 2 options that I threw out there. And then trying to get someone that can replace J.J. Watt as a leader on the defense. Doesn't necessarily have to be the same position, but they're going to need a veteran leader on that defense, because J.J. Watt has been the leader of the defense for years and years now, and now he's with the Cardinals, going to be leading a different defense. So maybe if they could get a guy like Melvin Ingram, that would be good. I doubt that would be something that would happen, but try and get some sort of leader that can be on the field and lead the Texans to some victories would be nice on defense. Going back to the offense, they got to address the line a bit, maybe later on in the draft. I don't think that's too much of a worry, because we have seen things get improved. They've spent draft picks on it. They made trades to go out and get some linemen. So they should be all right with that one. And then the last thing, all caps, I said, take away Jack Easterby's power. He has too much power in this organization. It's a big reason why I believe the Texans are where they are right now. And they got to find some sort of way to just take that away, get him off his throne that he's gotten somehow. It's a strange situation with Jack Easterby, so that's something that needs to be addressed at some point.
Yeah, I mean, you said a lot of great points. It's just going to be a lot of rebuilding, really. I mean, even if they were to hold on to Deshaun Watson, which I don't think any of us and I don't think many people around the league think is going to happen, but in the event that they do somehow hold on to Deshaun Watson and get him to play, they still probably aren't Super Bowl contenders. So, I mean, no matter what, it's probably going to be a rebuilding stage. So I think that the time has come where Deshaun Watson has no interest in playing. And like you said, there's going to be a lot of things that they're going to have to pursue in free agency. Some guys in the draft you mentioned I like. So likely some rough years ahead. But, I mean, can't say the Texans don't deserve what's coming to them.
Okay, one last thing before we wrap this video up. Let's do some very rough record predictions. And I'll start it off. Since we already did this, we all know each other's predictions. But I said 4-13 with the extra game. The Texans, similar to last year. I mean, I think maybe if they got the rookie, I'm assuming they get rid of Watson and maybe get some sort of good quarterback, if that's a rookie or something. They could win a couple games. So 4-13 was mine.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the points that I've talked about in this video just signify that the Texans are in for a rough 2021. I expect it to be similar record-wise as it was a year ago when they went 4-12, but obviously now we got the extra game. And again, with this, it's literally March. It's too early to have anything definitive. We don't know what the situation is going to be with Watson. Will they be picking second overall or not till the 67th pick? There's just so many variables left with this team. But right now, based on how it's looking, I agree with Tyler. I think it's going to be a rough year for my team, unfortunately. I say 4-13.
5-12.
All right.
Well, very, very quick on that one. Thank you very much, Jordan. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you like this video, make sure to let us know by going down and hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel and hitting the notification bell to be notified every time we post a video. Just so go down and do that, and then most importantly on these videos especially, go down and comment below. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say about the Texans. What should they do in this offseason? Do you agree with what we said? Anything else you'd have to add? Go down and comment. Let's have some conversation in the comment section down below. So once again, thanks for watching this video, and with that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.